All right, hey guys, welcome back into Buster's Corner. So we're just gonna it's Saturday morning, week 13, week 14, I guess, and there's nothing going on. So we're just gonna do a discussion, a talk session, if you will, about setups. That's really all we're doing. The chat channel is open. If you're catching me live, you can ask questions over there. We are on the Discord channel on the sponsor side in a lobby. So we have Eric and William with me so far this morning. Have signed in. And we're just kind of now getting started. So get a cup of coffee, and this will probably be a long video. Um, Commercials are off for the live version. Okay, this is all looking good over here. I can close this down a little bit. Okay, stream looks like it's okay. Volume on the track needs to be 11. So once William gets signed into the server, we're gonna kind of go slow here to see if other people catch up to us. I know Tom's got a shooting match this morning, so he won't be here. Um, I don't know. Actually, just the two of you guys that showed any interest in. These things usually don't have very many people in them.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna sign into the server. I'm just watching live on YouTube and just jumped in Discord.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, and I guess my biggest thing is that I want to get out of this is from your perspective of what these setups is where to go with the car. Like, okay, I get I'm loose. Whether you loose tight, whether it's center, exit, um, entry, where to work on the car. Why make this adjustment over that adjustment kind of thing?
Okay.
Why go ARB and not rear, mess with the rear cambers and stuff like that.
Okay, and I think that's kind of what Eric was talking about too. Eric, is what changes do I make after the initial testing?
Yeah, when we practice all week. We practice on Saturday, Sunday, and then sometimes you get in the race, and then we got a big field of cars. Things feel different. I'm loose in the middle. I'm tied in. Some of that's obviously not just the car. It's just what happens when we're racing people, and what do you tweak, and where do you go with stuff.
Okay, all right, I follow you. Okay, all right. So we'll make this a little more specific to what you guys are looking for. Let's just kind of go through then. Um, I guess that's in general. So first thing we need to understand is that there are multiple ways to achieve the same thing, and that's why you'll see differences in setups between Conti, Ryko, Premier. Even though those guys are all fast, um, they've achieved that through different things, and it's really up to the builder to decide which way they want to go with it and what they're expecting to get out of the car. We also need to realize that there's two worlds here. We've got the real world racing, what a real car will do, versus what iRacing will do. Bump steer is a good example. iRacing does not compute bump steer. Um, Camber. The cambers we use in iRacing are not cambers in reality. And I think we saw this on NASCAR. I want to say was it Vegas or Bristol, where the guys were running so much camber on the right rear they were just tearing up the tires in what, 20 laps or something like that. There's no way in the real world we can run a 6.0 left front camber in the real world. You'll just tear up the tires. But we get away with it here in iRacing. So with that in mind, keep that in mind that there's a game and it's like a Rubik's Cube. And once you put all the colors together, you've got a fast race car. The shop that can put the Rubik's Cube together the best, the closest to all the sides being the same color, will have the fastest car. So let's kind of go through. Let's start. I guess let's start with the springs. I guess springs. Now, they say that the bigger spring, let's say the 44,000, I'm going to say 4,000 and above, will maintain ride height for the aero package. And that is true at probably 90% of the tracks. We have to maintain the aero package. With that said, it's been lower spring rates, say below 4,000, will give you better grip compared to a spring that's 4,600. So you can achieve grip by spring rates. Now the rear, that's the front sub I'm talking about though. The rear spring rate, this right rear definitely dictates our air package. So most of the time you'll see this 4,000 and above. The right rear spring, let me see. You want to use the right rear spring to maintain your ride height for the air package. Okay. This left rear spring will affect your car quite a bit, middle to off. So the bigger this spring is, the tighter the rear end is going to be on exit. The lower it is, the looser it's going to be on exit. So far, so good?
Yep.
Yep, gotcha.
All right. Now, let's go back to our front springs when we talk about grip up here. Now, you have a conventional setup which says the left front tire is going to be lower than the right front tire. I still believe NASCAR is still doing that. What that does, why do I got sound in the background? I got the announcers behind me. I got to change something with graphics. Left front spring lower than the right front spring will get you a better corner entry, straight up. And um, I've heard people say it's tight on entry because I'm running too much left front spring. But let's go the other way, and what they call it hillbilly springs. If you increase this left front spring, take that to a 45 versus a 42. That's a hillbilly spring setup, we call that. You hillbilly the front. But what that hillbilly does is that, let me see, the side with the bigger spring takes dominance over the other side. If you increase the left front spring, it makes the left front of your car more dominant than the right front. This will make the car, well, first it's going to make tire on entry, but middle off, it's going to make the car want to hook left more. This will keep you down low. It'll give you a smaller diameter circle on the track. That'll let the car come down low and stay down low. If you reverse it the other way, right, and make the right front dominant, that'll make the car push out towards the flagman on exit. So where do you want the car to be on exit? Now, guys get a lot of speed out of this hillbilly spring over here because it lets them hold the bottom of the corner better on exit without pushing up and maybe into the crowd. Maybe there's people up there on the outside. The outside lanes where a lot of people are. You can hook that car right down there and make it nice and swift. But, well, let me come back to that in a second. Let me come back to that button in a minute. That's hillbilly. Oops. 46 to 42. That's a big hillbilly split right there. So as you're working on your car and you say, man, this car pushes on exit. It just push. I'm out to the wall at exit. I can't. You could bring hillbilly it a little bit. That's one way to do that. If the car is spinning out on exit, you might have too much left front spring. You got too much grip over here. Bring this down, and that'll make the car drift out to the wall further. Okay?
Gotcha.
All right. I'm going to give you guys a chance to intervene here. Um, okay. So that's hillbilly in the front. Very rarely do you see a hillbilly across the back. It's hard to do. Maybe at Bristol, where this can be a 1500 and this might be able to come down a little bit. But you don't see him hillbilly in the rears very much at all. I think I've seen Kenny do it a couple of times. So then again on the rear springs, so now, okay, so let's say, let me see here. The car's too tight and maybe it's New Hampshire, and you want to get a tighter circle. You can bring this down. I like my 4,000 right there, and maybe down around 25, 24, 23. This will make the back of the car looser with these springs smaller like that. Um, and like I say, that's if you depending on the track and the corner. So let's say Texas 1 and 2 is kind of a tight corner down there at the bottom. You go down there and hit the brakes and you make a U-turn back up the hill. It feels like versus 3 and 4 is a sharper bank turn. So you might want to play with this for turns 1 and 2 to improve 1 and 2 by making those smaller, and that'll give you a smaller diameter. Okay, that's probably enough on springs for now. Nose weight. Let's talk about this just for a minute. Nose weight to me determines the circumference of the track or the turn. Okay, in that you might run a 48.1 at Martinsville, but we have found at Daytona likes to be 49.8 to a 5.2 higher because the turn is so much wider. We don't need the car to make that quick rotation right there. If you go down into a corner and you get down there too low, you go, man, I'm always hitting the apron down here. I'm hitting the apron. Increases nose weight to make that car take a wider diameter through the corner. If you can't get down to the bottom, you can lower the nose weight to help get you down to the bottom of the track. Okay, so that's nose weight. All right, let's talk about bars because I think that's probably the biggest issue that people have. The front bar affects the left rear tire. The rear bar affects the right rear tire. Okay, in that now typically we're going to run a 2-inch bar on both front and back almost all the time. Now there's a cheat sheet. The cheat sheets tell you that for a bumpy track, run a smaller diameter bar. I've tried that; it didn't work, and maybe it worked on the old cars. And that's a problem with the cheat sheets we have, is the cheat sheets are set up for the old cars. We're four-wheel independent suspension on these with different types of bars than what they ran in the past. So, but for as far as the setup and adjustments, front bar's left rear, rear bar is this side. It's funny because I'll see guys say, "Well, you're tight on entry, so I took my front bar from a P3 to a P1. That made it better on entry." Did it? Not as much as you think it did. Oh, Corey just signed in. Okay, so hey Corey, we're talking about the bars here. Anything you missed, you can catch on the video live. Okay, so let's go back here. So let's go talk about the front bar. So the front bar is going to affect our left rear tire. So did this affect me on entry P1 versus a P5? Yeah, it did. Yes, it did, but not as much as you think it did. Because here's what's happening. On corner entry, all right, on corner entry, if the rear end is, let's say the rear end is locked. You got the old-fashioned car and you got a locked rear end. On corner entry, the left rear tire is still pushing you forward on corner entry. Slip rear end, you get that left rear to not rotate as fast as the right rear. That'll make you loose on entry. So if we're driving this left rear tire on entry, it's going to make us tight. But what made you tight? Let's back where I had it. What made you tight was the preload. Okay. The preload is a timing mechanism. Actually, the whole car, everything we adjust here is timing, except for springs. The preload determines when that tire engages. Okay. The preload on the front tells us when this left rear tire engages through the turning process. Now, and give you an example. Let me see here. Close to zero, huh? Close to zero. Okay. Zero. that left rear tire is not going to really engage a whole lot throughout the turn, especially on corner entry. It's going to free up that left rear. This will make you loose on entry. A plus number in the front preload will make that left rear not engage as soon as it goes through the corner. This, and actually, is it shown over here too? Yes, it is. Okay. See my cross weight? I didn't look at that. See, I'm raising the cross weight. That's making our car tight, right? That's bringing up this corner weight down here. It's making this tire engage soon. So if you, and let me go back here. Give you an example. Your corner exit, the car is tight and it's pushing to the wall. Okay? It's pushing to the wall. Either you have too much of this, which tightened it up, or you don't have enough back here. Oh, how did I get to 31? Oh, because I messed it up here. It's back. For me, when I start my build, I like to have these just as a reference. Start them out neutral someplace, mid 20s. There you go. I try to get them close, 22, 21. So those bars are kind of neutralizing each other because you can have one overpower the other one and it becomes redundant. Balance of the setup is very important for your long run, for your long, for your long, I need more coffee, for the long run. If you, and I've seen guys do this, you got 85 up here, and you got 80 sitting back here, you pretty much washed out the whole thing. And the car's probably herking and jerking around. Get back on point here. Okay, there's my neutral state. All right. So in reality, and Tom and I were talking about this the other day, we don't see enough people, and I probably don't do it enough. This front preload, get this sucker down in here. Okay? And that's going to free up that left rear tire on your corner entry. And it's actually going to let you now, with your loose on entry, now you come back to the rear bar and get more power up off of here. Okay, let's go to the rear bar. Leave that one there. The rear bar affects the right rear and what it does through the rotation of the turn. This is, I need to go shut that off. Let me see if I say this right. The rear ARB adds additional spring to this number right here. If I got a 4,000 pound spring right here, consider the P a multiplier. I need to do the same for the front. There's a multiplier. Okay? This is 4,000 times 1. Okay. Now it's 4,000 times 5. And we all know, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, you take the rear bar from P1 to P5, it's going to be loosest snot on exit. That's why. You just increase the spring rate right here. Okay? That's all this does. The P5 to 2, that's all you're doing is you're affecting the spring rate right here. So, and here, so let's look at it this way. 1.3 times 1 added to that. 2 times 1 added to that. You're adding to that right rear spring. Now, the preload tells us when that kicks in. Okay? Now, if the car's loose, you can bring us down like this, and it's the bar won't kick in as soon. And what I mean by that is, as you're rotating through the corner, as you throttle up, you'll feel that rear ARB kick in, and you'll feel it rotate to the right, weight transfer to the right rear, and it'll kick in. This means it probably won't kick in at all. You probably won't feel it at all. You added to the spring, yeah, you took it from a 4,000 to a 6,000 pound spring, or what have you. But the bar, you won't feel the bar rotate over. Increasing this will make it rotate through there faster. And you can also see this on your cross weight. Okay, I'm at 50% now cross weight because I've done this to it. All right. So, but okay. Again, this is timing, and you can play this on the track, and you'll feel the difference in it. But you don't want to go into your. Hold on, push on. My finger was getting sore. I pushed to talk here. I got the dog in the background. Okay. You don't want to arbitrarily just go in and say, I'm going to move this around. This would be a minor adjustment. So you get a setup from somebody. Can I put this back where I had it? You get the setup from somebody, that's fine. And 26. And you want to make a small adjustment. Then that's fine. You can go in here and just tweak this one click, and you can see this up here. So you'll change this right here. Okay, just a little bit. So, and what I mean by that is, let's say Jason Selway, a good example. That's his last name. This guy's really hard on the right rear. All right, I'm always telling him lower the P1, but actually what he should do, because he just brings up the right rear so much, is come in and just knock this down. For what Jason should do, is burn up the right rear. If you're not burning up the right rear, give you an example. Jack. Jack's a very good tire wear. Jack can use a little more heat in the right rear. Jack should take my setup and add one click to that to loosen it up, to put more heat in the right rear. Because for me, my goal is I want 10 degrees hotter in the right rear than the right front over, say, a 20 over the run, 35 lap run. That tells me the car's loose and I'm saving the right front tire. All right, so far so good.
Yep.
All right, let's go to when you're making adjustments. Well, let me see. No, let's go back up a little bit. Okay, that's tires. Okay, we talked about springs. We talked about the preload. My list here. All right, let's talk about camber for a few minutes here. This is what William was talking about. Let's start in the back. The higher the camber you have, the tighter the back of the car will be. Okay, and it's not going to want to rotate. Now, take into consideration, um, you talk about qualifying setups. Qualifying setups, we are outside the NASCAR rule book by running 6060 4040. So we're not talking about that. Camber will make the car tighter overall. Auto Club, for example, I was running 2.3s, 2.1s, something like that. I was way down here. I had good rear rotation by doing this. Um, Tom didn't like it. Tom came, I think he made this a 2.5 or 2.7. Now I know this about the left rear. The If you're loose on exit, a higher camber will tighten it up. That's this one. This one will make the right rear grip more and make the car come around and turn left more. Okay, so you raise this up, that makes that right rear engage, and it's going to hook left more. This one will tighten you up on exit. Yep, tighten you up on exit and kind of make you loose on exit. So they're kind of fighting each other. You want to watch you kind of want to watch your motec on these as well, and make sure you're not over stressing these two tires. Okay. Now you can, I mean, don't get me wrong, you can go threes on across the back. Sure, what the heck? All right, you're gonna make the car tight. Now come back here and let's make this a P4. Now we just loosened it back up again, didn't we? But remember, when you do stuff like this, and this is where your tires come in, forward bite is speed. If the back of the car is sliding sideways and not moving forward, you're losing forward momentum, you're losing speed. So it's a balancing act if you decide you want to do this. But there is a rule of thumb that higher cambers translates to speed, especially in the straightaway. Okay, I don't know why, but it's a thing. So that's why you run max cambers during qualifying, is because it does produce speed, but it does produce a lot of wear. And you can compensate for it for a 2-lap run by doing that. So the lower that you can get these in a setup, oops, the faster the car can be, I must say can be, because it frees up the rear end through the corner. All right. Front cambers. So we know NASCAR's not running 5 and 6 cameras in the front of these cars. Uh, but we have found that here on iRacing it does work. So I think a rule of thumb, and I need to do more of this and I don't. Uh, Tim's good at it. Start the thing off at a 5 and then work the right side according to tire wear from what you're seeing in motec and what your stand analyzer's telling you, and adjust this for the length of the run. Um, when we let me see here. When we talk about corner domination, if you will, that's what I mean. Dominance, quarter dominant, the corner of the car. Remember I said the higher the spring here makes that side dominant? Same thing goes with the camber. If you have a higher left front camber, it makes that left front car dominant and it'll pull you through the corner. So you got to be so if you make this a 5.0 dominant and you make this and you hillbilly this sucker to a 6, I guarantee this car's gonna be so loose it's gonna be hard to handle because this front tire's got so much grip, and the rest of the car doesn't have the grip, and the rest of the car is gonna slip and slide and come around. So there is a balance between the camber and your spring rate on these corners. Um, but I have seen guys do crazy stuff. I've seen the 4.6 and the 5.0 sitting over here. But then, oh, you know why? Now I know why. What you'll see then is you'll see a cross weight of 55.6. That's how they'll compensate for it. In order to get this dominant side right here to bring you to the corner, they've got to increase the cross weight to get this tire to push the car through the corner. So there's a balance there that you got to find um, between your cross weight and what you're going to do right here. All right. So anyway, back to cambers. Read your cambers. Oh, somebody else signed in. Okay. Oh, Chris Meyer. So get your cambers. Work your right front camber for your tire wear issues that you may have. Some tracks don't have a tire wear issue, some do. And then work the left front camber. Go ahead and get it as high as you can. Like I said, it's really going to pull you through the corner, and there's speed in higher cambers. But it's very typical, especially on a long run, the high left front camber, that as the rest of the tires go away, this tire is still gripping more than the rest of them. And a long run, you go, wow, I'm jerking left on a long run. I'm too loose. It could be left front camber too dominant. Okay, that's cambers. Any questions so far?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, make sure you guys are still awake. Okay, let's go to caster. Now, I remember when I first started a long, long time ago. I was watching Tommy Brandon's videos. Yeah, I grew up on Tommy Brandon's videos, the ones he put out for free. And it was late model stock cars. And the first thing he says is, adjust casters to the feel of your steering wheel. I said, okay, all right. So that's kind of the route I went. That's so wrong. Oh my God, that's so dead wrong. Caster, the bigger the split across the front, the better turn-in you will have. So remember when I was saying before, somebody said that I'm lowering the front ARB to a P1 because he was tight on entry? If he had came in here and changed his caster setting here a little bit, he would have resolved that and kept that ARB. You know what? I'm going to go back to the ARB real quick. I have found when I'm doing builds, these says it wants to be a P3 or a P2. You can take and do it with one of my setups. Anybody setup you got? Go in and change that front from a P3 to a P4 or a P2. Move it around just for kicks and go run 5 laps. For some reason, the car, the Rubik's Cube, if you will, wants a certain number right here. And once you find a certain number, don't mess with it. Tom's done that to my stuff. He goes, I try and change that front P3, P2, but I lose speed. Once it's dialed in, leave it there. Okay, back to caster. Okay, so the split across here dictates your corner entry. Okay, it also dictates how much cross weight we lose. As we're in the middle of the corner, the lower this number is, it'll make your cross weight go down in the middle of the corner. So if you're tight mid-corner, you could, okay, things you could do is drop this caster to the left side or the right side. Um, Now, I have seen also go back to if people run a high camber and it makes them, it'll get the car loose, they will increase the casters to 10s, 9s, 11s to compensate for this high left front camber. I like to have the 1 inch split across here, so by 8.8 and 9.8 is what I like. If you increase the right front caster, it'll be acting like adding the string right here. It'll make the car exit towards the wall. The higher these are, it makes, again, we go back to the circumference of the track, right? Where we're talking about that on our cross weight. Caster will do that too. So Daytona might be a 10-10 or 10-11. I don't know if you do 11 here, it might not go, but okay. This is probably good for a Daytona because you got the wide circle, bigger tracks like bigger casters, whereas the Martinsville will probably be like a 9.2 or an 8 if I get away with it. Something small like that because that's going to short that wheel up. Um, if you go back to what Tommy Brand was talking about, adjust the caster for your for feelings in your hand. That is, I'll go back to that and I'll say got if you got a direct drive wheel and you got cranked up to max uh, nanometers, what do you call that? Newton meters. A smaller caster helps that direct drive wheel, um, but it doesn't really do you much good on the track. And again, every track has a magic number here. Back to the Rubik's Cube, every track has a magic number. Greg and I were working at the Texas one time, and man, we found a lot of speed running like an 8.2 and an 8.8 caster down here. Well, now that I think back on it, it's because as you crank that wheel with low casters, it lowers your cross weight middle of the corner. All right, middle of the corner, it lowers that cross weight, and the car really finds some good speed down there. But it also makes you loose, and the right rear tire is too hot. So then you have to go back and compensate for that somewhere. All right, so caster. The bigger the split, the better corner entry you'll have. So if you're tight on entry, you can lower this down. If you're loose on exit, you might be too low right here, and you've lowered the cross weight too much, and you start burning the right rear tire. Um, Probably a good place for this if you're starting out. I'd probably go with a 9 and a 10, and kind of go from there. That's what I would do. Okay, that's caster up there. All right. We talked about the camber back here. The toe. I'll talk about this toe in the back here a little bit. Now we know on the old cars that they wanted to skew the back of the car, and you did a +1 and a -1, I think is what it was. Or yeah, I only want to go one way, and that would skew the back of the car. That's not true with next gen. We need the air to flow directly underneath the car. We don't want the back of the car skewed because then we lose downforce from it. But we have found that this toe right here, now this +2 on the left rear is pointing the left rear tire to the right. Right? Plus means the car. Plus on the toe means the tire is pointing to the middle of the car. So this is going to make the back of the car rotate up the hill, if you will. Right? And when I say up the hill, I'm talking about towards the flagman. So that helps the back of the car, like a fire truck, to go up the hill. Um, I don't like to use a lot of this. Maybe short tracks, maybe, but that also, to me, that's also hurting the straightaway speed, right? Scruffing that tire up. So it's not uncommon to see a 3 to a 4. Brother Tom likes to use that as a final adjustment type thing. When everything's done, he might go back in here and play with this a little bit. That's a very minor last minute adjustment type thing to do. Your front one should always be -1 unless you're on a short track. That's just because that's the way everybody else does it. I have seen guys come in here. Now wait a minute, let me back that up. I have ran across, I think it was a Conti setup. Well, they got like a -4 sitting up here. All right. And that's because what he did, was he's trying to get a number here that he wants. All right, where sometimes you can't get a 6.0. But you can do some stuff down here sometimes that will make this number trip or make the right height trip just right. See, that's a 6.1 now. He get that to trip just right so he gets the number he's looking for right there. All right, put that back. All right, hold on here. Just check some. Okay, I just want to see if somebody's talking up there, just trying to find us, but they're not. Okay, let me see here. Hold on. Okay, that was caster and camber so far. No questions yet? All right, we'll keep going. All right, let's go to. We'll talk about shocks for a little bit here. Okay. Let's talk about high speed. High speed shocks. Let me pull up motec. Okay, so for high speed shocks. Oh, this track here is pretty smooth. All right. Let me see if I can find something else. All right, this is the Auto Club. Okay, all right, this is a good example. Okay, high-speed shocks, slope. When we talk about slope, slope is anything from, if you look at these lines right here, slope is anything from, I think, from 6 to 10, or maybe even 8 to 10. All right, right? These last two boxes up here, 8 to 10 is our slope. So this one here says my slope is not high enough, but if you look at the lap overall, this is just a rut in the road, and there ain't no way you're going to fix that rut. But I am a little bit high here and here, so I could increase my slope right here on both of them, compression and rebound, okay, to maybe help smooth that out a little bit. See, that's the same rut. They're not going to fix that rut, so don't even chase it. In order to chase a rut like that, you would have to, well, if it's doable at all, probably go to some really small springs that won't get you any speed at all in order to get rid of it. But also, see how this tire's bounced around a lot throughout the whole round right here, isn't it? The slope maybe a little bit right, well, see, but that's just a little bit of the slope. So I think the slope might be pretty close, but I'm bouncing around here in the middle a lot. So I might want to tighten up the middle range, okay, which is the high speed compression and rebound, okay. So let's go back to, this ain't the same setup. So you got the slope, slopes. So the slope is a really high peaks. In the middle is just a rebound, high speed rebound, and high speed compression will be the middle ones. Okay, so you can play with those. Now there is, and really it's very time consuming to do shocks. Very, very time consuming. That's why some setup shops don't even do it. They just throw 10s out there, or they have a go-to package they throw on. They don't even mess with them because it's so time consuming. So you can play with those, uh, the high speed side, and get it kind of close to where you think it should be. But the key to shocks really for me is the low speed. Low speed is the key. Low speed is the one you want to look at. Now, typically we'll run like 4s up front here, low speed compression. The low speed compression for me on the front, the higher the number is the more pressure I'm putting on that tire. Okay? And here we go again to the dominant tire. A 6 is more dominant. That was stupid. A 10 is more dominant than a 1. So if I increase this to a 10, I'm going to put more pressure on this left front tire, okay, which may um, better on entry, I believe, and it's going to make you stay low and hook the corner better, okay. So typically you'll see this left front maybe a 6, but the right front now, if I increase this to a 10, I'm going to put more wear on that right front. It's also going to make the car push on exit. Whenever the right front tire is dominant than the left front, it's going to make you push towards the flagman. So the sooner you want to get to the flagman, increase the right front tire. The sooner you want to see the grass, increase the left front tire. So typically you'll see maybe a 4, actually more like a 4 here, and we might see a 6 over here. No, other way around. 5-3, 5-4, maybe something like that. So I get a little more dominant right here. That's low speed compression in the front. Low speed rebound in the front. Low speed rebound is how fast do you want to transfer the weight to the back of the car? When are you ready to make that transition from, you're diving into the corner and are you getting back on the gas and you want the weight of the car to rotate to the back of the car to get you forward bite to drive you up off the corner? It's a timing thing. Tom loves this. It's a timing thing. Everything in this car, shocks, preload, ARBs, nose weight is actually a timing issue. How much weight's up front? How much weight do I got to push to the back? Cross weight, not so much. Springs are not timing either. The shocks, okay. Low speed rebound. How fast do we want to send it to the back? Now, and when you send it to the back, where are you sending it? You're sending it to the low speed compression in the back. All right. Now, again, low speed compression. How much pressure is that tire putting on the track for me? Okay. Do I make that tire dominant? If I go low speed rebound over here to a 10, and low speed compression over here, see right cross corner, it's going to transfer the weight from that left front over to that right rear, and it's going to drive me up off the corner off the right rear. It's going to make that right rear drive me up off the corner. It's going to make me loose. I'll tell you that right now. That's going to make you loosey-goosey. So you got to be careful with these. So, but typically I like to start them. I'll start them off the same, and then kind of work from there. Transversely, is that the right word? Transversely? Inversely? If you take the low speed rebound from here to a 10, and this to a 10, that's going to make me tight on exit. I'm going to go up and shake hands with the flagman real quick because it's going to drive me up off the corner towards the wall. So if you've got, now, okay, so when I watch this, be back where I had him. If you went, right, with a low left rear camber, right, this is going to make you loose on corner exit, right? All right. Now I'll take my low speed compression over here, increase this to a 9, low speed, just make that to a 9. That's going to transfer weight to this tire, which now just tightened me up. Right? See how I did that? So that's kind of it in a nutshell right there. Let me see. I have found that with these low speed rebounds, put these back at 6s. Okay, I have found recently, I was talking to Greg about this low speed compression. The higher I make these, the looser my car gets. So even though at 5s, if I go and make these both 8s, let's say, it makes the back of my car very loose. Okay. Now I have seen also where the low speed rebound, what's it, Texas? Texas, when you come up out of turn 1 and 2 out of Texas, once you hit the apex, you got a straight shot back up that hill, and the car really liked being higher low speed compression, and my first thought was it's giving me forward bite faster up off the corner, and maybe it is, but it worked good. I don't know why. And maybe I had something else going on uh, that was giving me that effect, and I thought it was low speed compression. But definitely something to look at right there. I'm constantly finding stuff, as long as I've been doing this, um, things that, oh, I didn't know that did that. Oh, if I add this, and if I put this here, that works out pretty good. Um, so that's still every day I'm learning something new. Real quick, Kenny had touched on this on ride height, and what we're looking at static, we want zero point 0.3 between here and here. So 18, 19, 20, 21. It should be 21.66 up front. 19, 20, 21. So this should be 21.66 up front. Oh, it's because I messed around with everything. And this is just a rule of thumb. 18, 19, 20, 21, 9. So I'm actually below it. That's fine. Let's go back to, hold on. I'm going to pull up motec. Okay. So we're talking about rake. Um, let me see. When you do this, so I go over here and I put my thing right here, and I'm looking for a flat spot in that corner, and I do my mouse scroll, close this in, and I take this and I find there's a little dip right there. Everybody comes up, kind of flat right about there, and I'll write this number down right here. It's 22631 at the bottom. That's the distance in feet, and I'll write that down. So I always come back to the same spot. So here I'm at negative 9.7. So okay, so they say, the experts over on the CC channel, that you want a 1-inch rake. Now, when I talk 1-inch rake, um, we're measuring from the rear sensor blocks to the spoiler blocks, measuring blocks. Um, and that gives us our 1-inch. Now, give you an example, Kenny Coppola over there, his motec is measuring rake from the rear block to called the middle block, the front block. He's not measuring to the spoiler. The spoiler to the middle to the front wheels is a 1/2 inch difference. So Kenny looks for a 1/2 inch rake. You know, it cracks me. I got a 1/2 inch rake. What the hell? That ain't gonna work. Well, because he's measuring to the blocks in the center of the chassis. All right, that's why we are at a 1-inch. So 1 inch is the okay, is the number they say you need that. Okay, but with that said, a lower rake will make the car loose. So when your car gets loose around even from lap 20 on. And Eric, this is why when you guys do testing, I'm curious if you guys got 30. Did it get loose in 35 laps? No, it felt fine. When you guys tell me that, okay, my rake is acceptable, I can keep it there. If guys say no, she got real tight from lap, 25 to 35, she got real tight. I've got too much rake in the car. Okay, so that's kind of the feedback I get from you guys when you run laps. Is what is she really doing between lap 25 to 35? Because once we get to lap 30, realistically, once you get to lap 30, the car doesn't change much after that. Okay, and I'll show you what we're talking about here. So when I do this, let me see, did I get enough laps on this first segment? I did not. So let me see here. Let's go here. This looks like it's after a pit stop. And then, well, we got more yellows in there. Did I get a long run here? Maybe this one right here. All right. I don't think I've got good data here for you guys. All right, so, all right. Now on this lap here, well, let's go to this one. Okay, that's close enough. All right. So here we are, same spot, and we don't know if I'm high or low or where I was driving the car, but just for a general discussion. All right. Pretty close 150s across the front. I got 99 to 113. Now I'm just starting to segment out, and I assume I just got new tires. You want to start the run out 0.10 lower than the left. This side needs to be 0.10 lower than the left side because the right side is going to grow. All right, let me see here. There we got up a little bit. This is bad data. I should have looked at this closer for you guys. Okay. Anywho, what we're looking for here, I forgot where I was going with this, I think. Rake. We want to maintain the rake as long as we can. And longer in the race, this right rear the whole car is going to go up due to lack of fuel and air pressure rise. So we want to make sure that we're not too high or the rate gets too low on the long run. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's what I have open. Okay. All right. So when we talk about rake, if you get a car um, and you get in the lap 20, and usually it's going to show up at lap 20, lap 20. And when I'm talking about loose, I'm talking about snap loose, where you're coming up out of the corner and it's like, wait a minute, why did she just change ends? I didn't see that coming. If you don't see it coming, then that's called a snap loose, and that's definitely a rake issue. Um, Now, we've also found here lately that, and it's racing things, they really want this right rear right height to be higher. So the rule of thumb used to be always get the back as low as you can and go from there. Not so much anymore. They want to be 1.9 and above. More like a 2-inch right here. So then here you're going to go 2, you add 3 to 1, 2, 3, should be a 2.3. So this needs to come up in order to fix our rake. That's rake. All right, questions, or where should I go from here? Either y'all went and got coffee, or y'all fell asleep.
You go to the in-car, you're in a race, you're at a pit. You get tight in, loose off when you're tweaking the wedge and stuff.
Okay. So let's take a look at this here real quick from the garage side first. Let me write this down. Hold on, let me get a pencil and paper here. Our cross is 52.8 right now. All right, so here's one you hear all the time. So I'm in the pits, and I think I hear Scott, not Scott, Steve. I added a pound to the right front, and I took a pound out of the left rear. What does it do to the car? 52.7. Not much, did he? There's a 53. So by adding a pound to that right front, tighten the car up. But back that up a little bit. Air pressure acts like a spring. Increasing the air pressure gives you a bigger spring. So he just added, say, 25 pounds to the right front spring. So he tightened the car up quite a bit. On what he tied himself up with the cross weight, but he also tightened the car up by increasing the right front spring rate. So we hear, oh, I took a pound out of the right rear. 52.9. That tightens you up too. But just barely. That wasn't really enough there to do much to it. But it does, hold on, back up. That did lower the right rear spring rate. Okay, which I'm not sure what it's going to do by that much. I have not tried that, but according to this, he tightened the car up according to the cross weight. So if you, now you're talking about, let's say you want to do the spring perch changes.
Yep.
All right. So spring perch changes are, I believe, opposite on pit road. Okay. So here people say righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay, so which is on the left rear they're using. Okay, so if it's righty tighty, then this should go up. And
That's
did.
it, go.
And it did. Yeah. Okay. So then what they're doing here then, so you're increasing the left rear spring. Okay, let's see. We're at 52.8. So if I go righty tighty, see it's wrong. It's different in the garage. So they're backwards. So 52.9, 53. I just tightened it up. So then it's righty tighty, but I think
That's it,
the
go.
right rear spring I think is okay. So if I just raise the left rear, that's going to tighten the car up. Now I don't want to tighten the car up. So let's say
That's it, go.
let's say I want to loosen the car up.
That's it, go.
So I'm going to minus the left rear and increase the right
That's
rear,
it, go.
and that'll loosen you up. And the numbers in here are different. That's 0.031. We don't get this off of here. So the same thing here. If I was going to loosen me up, 52.8, I'd go down here, up, oops, up here. That's 52. Did I do that right? I don't think I did. So if you raise the right rear, it's at 52.4. But see, again, that's what I was just saying here. Hold on. They're not the same out there as they are here. So you kind of got to play with that. Yeah, I said they're not the same as they are in here. I don't know, did I answer that? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was always thinking that on the right rear it was right tight to tighten it up on exit, and then if you wanted to, and it was flipped on the left rear.
What do you want to tighten it up? You said.
Yeah, I was always everything. What I've seen, and it could be wrong, is on the right rear, the right button would tighten it on
That's
exit,
it, go.
and then on the entrance, the left was flipped. So if you wanted to tighten it on entrance, it would be that one, the left button.
That's it, go. That's it, go.
So you want to tighten it up on entry, and you do which one?
The left rear, click on the left.
That's it, go.
Okay, I'm not sure about that. I haven't done.
That's it, go.
I'm sure somebody's done the research on it and has posted a paper on it.
Yeah, it was just always the right rear, right tight, left loose for exit, and then it was opposite on the left rear.
Okay.
I don't mess with it that
That's
much.
it, go.
I don't have the cars
That's
normally
it, go.
good enough. I don't want to mess something up.
See, and maybe I got my box mixed. Once I had to redo the computer, I think I got my box mixed up because
That's it, go.
if I
That's
push
it, go.
my up button,
That's
it goes
it,
negative,
go. That's it, go.
and it shouldn't go negative. It should go up. So I got my button backwards. Dang it! Again, I got my buttons backwards. All right. Yeah, piss off. I think Jack sent me something. I probably should repost somewhere. Let me go over something else here real quick. How are we on time here? It's been an hour already? Okay. When you make adjustments to the car, let me see here. Do I have... When you make adjustments to the car, so let's say you want to get in here now, like William's talking about, he wants to go in and he wants to change stuff to help it fit him. Before you move anything, so let me show you here. I've got... I made myself a little file, what I call a file room. And what I'll do is I will do snippets of the setup and post them in here. So I can always come back to it. So especially if I'm refurbishing, let's say I take last year's Texas, I bring it over, I'm going to redo it. First thing I do is I'll take snippets of it, and I got another channel here, nobody knows about this. And I'll do snippets of the setup. So I can always go back to it. Because what you want to do here before you start making changes, you're going to write down, do this right now, write down my crossweight, 52.8. I'm going to write down my preload. I don't want to change my preloads because the preload is a timing thing, and I like the way it's working for me. So I'm going to keep those. Minus 26 in the front. I go to the back, write that one down. Minus 26. Okay, and then I take my bars off. Okay, and let's say we're going to take this, bring this to a 5 over here. I'm at 1971 and a 90. 1971. Pretty close. Pretty close. I got my 50. And boy, I'd just like to have more of this. Ah, but see, it messes with that one there, doesn't it? All right, well, I'm about to go with that then. All right, okay, there you go. There's my 51. Put my bars back on. Those are both at 26, 34, 11, 31, 26. That's pretty close. Even though I'm off by a tick right here, but that's pretty close. Okay. And now I'll go back to change over here. Nope, I kept those. So that's how you do an adjustment if you're going to move stuff around. And this doesn't have to be dead on at 26. That's pretty close. Okay. So then take this back off. And I don't like this right here, but 10, 11, 10, 10, 10, 11. I'm going to bring it down to a 23. That's fine. It stayed about the same. 1888. This one makes a big difference. But that's close enough. You got to pick the worst of both the evils here. Either I'm off by 8 or I'm off by 4. I'll take that one. All right. And anything else I want to change while I'm in here? Oh, make sure this goes back to where it belongs. All right, put this stuff back where I had it. 13 to a 29, 25, 29. That's pretty close. I'm reversed the other way, ain't I? This one was lower than the other one. That's pretty close. That's how you make changes in your setup before. And then, oops. And now I'm 52.6, so I actually have the plus right there. I like that one. Let me bring up motec one more time here. There was something here I wanted to show you guys. Alright, so I had my number. I should have wrote it down, huh? Let's put this over here in a corner somewhere. That's a good spot. Nope, that's the wrong file. I had one set up to show you guys. I'm not sure what it was, but where when I did this on my lap 5, the right rear was higher than the left rear. Okay, and that's when you say, because after you make all these changes and stuff like that, if you lose the right heights in the car, you need to come back into motec and see if you're still within 10. This actually can come up a little bit. No, that's close enough. There you go. That's close enough. And you know, we were talking about tires. This must have been, I had a race that was full of freaking yellows. So I don't have enough laps on these. When you look at your motec here, and you look at your tires, so see, look at my right rear on this one right here. This side here should be hotter than this side. And this one's okay, but this one here is not. Okay, so this right rear probably needed more camber to it. Actually, it definitely did. But I'm not, without it being a true test session, I can't be sure what that tire was doing. But that's what you want to look for there is these tires. Make sure that you're hotter on this side than this side. And make sure your rake. Now, let me go back to the rake a little bit. Now, Greg and I did some testing, I don't know, boy, last season or 2 seasons ago when it came to rake. And Greg loves no rake, which is fine to a certain extent. You can run that, but then he had to compensate his setup with increased cambers in the back to tighten the car back up. Now, when you build for yourself, that's great. Like William, you build for yourself. Um, you know what's going to happen. You know the car's going to get loose on lap 30. So you say, okay, I need to drive differently after lap 30 to compensate for it. I know it's coming. Whereas setup shops have to build the car to fit a whole bunch of people, all kinds of different driving styles. If I did that to Jack Wallace, he'd go through the roof. Even Eric would be like, I can't drive this. I can't get past lap 30 with this. It's snapping loose. So yeah, you can lower this as long as you compensate for it somewhere else. Maybe more cross weight, more rear cambers, maybe less left front camber to compensate for the loose condition later on. So if I was to adjust the setup, um, let's say I got this set up, and actually Eric, I shared it with you. We can play with it later if you want to. I know this setup is tight. When I drove it, I know it's very, very tight. Um, Something I would look at here is, first off, I'm at a P1 right here. I would have to take this to I'd probably go jump to a P3 and try it. Fronts, I always like those between a P2 and a P3, so I don't mess with those really a whole lot. Um, It's got good camera in the left front. I'm not too sure about the spring rates across the front right here. I have to go try it. But like I say, so we get back to the lower spring rates does produce more speed, but they say the tires also wear out faster. And then you also want your aero package. You got to decide whether or not the aero package really has much room here or takes as much effect here. Um, Auto Club, not so much on the aero package of Auto Club, I don't think, because the track is so bumpy anyway, and there's always somebody to draft with. So you could probably run smaller springs up there. Okay, I think I'm at a dead end here. What else, guys? What are you looking for?
I think I'm good. I'm gonna send you a link. I don't know if you've seen. You're talking about when you do stuff on your channel of the screen snippets. I don't know if you've seen that setup viewer. That allows you to go take that setup and click export, and it exports it. And then the setup viewer is able to see what you have. And I use that when comparing your stuff between a 1.0 to a 1.5, just kind of see what you've done. It gives you a pretty good graphical, and the numbers look like they do in the garage.
Oh, I see. That'd be cool. Let me see here. Does the state analyzer also do that? If you do the wrench thing right here, compare two setups.
I haven't tried that one. This one is just so you can see on a different screen without having to turn any laps on it.
Oh yeah, 10-4. Yeah, I'd like to have that. And I'll find Jack's. I'll put a note here. Find Jack's stuff. Jack's pit adjustments. All right. Well, if we're done, I guess we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, Bob. It's been great.
You're welcome, buddy. All right, guys, we'll get out of here. Happy Saturday, and like I said, there's no practice sessions tomorrow or no race. I'm gonna set up my Christmas tree this weekend.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Welcome, guys. See you later.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
All right, guys, that's it. We're out of here. See you later. Hope something helped. Leave your comments down below. Like I say, just everybody's different. Everybody interprets what's going on a little bit differently, and we're all trying to get